Alright, let's talk about the Gemini new moon for the Earth signs. And I'm going to start with Taurus.
Wait, stop. You can't do this.
Why?
Because these are somebody else's wishes. They're somebody else's dreams.
Yeah, but you know what? This one right here. This was my dream, my wish. And it didn't come true. So I'm taking it back. I'm taking them all back. Their life.
Man, they're gonna like this kid, man.
So if you have Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Rising, here is a chart analysis for you based off this Gemini new moon. So we've got Venus conjunct this new moon. Venus is the ruler of Taurus, and South Node ruler, which brings Mars into the mix as well here. Now let's start with the North Node. North Node is currently in Aries, 12th house to Taurus. It's an unfoldment, an unconscious awakening through the process of your being. What is changing for you? What beliefs are changing for you? How is your perception? How has it shaped you? And how could it? How can you be co-creator in your own cultivation, awakening in this life? Venus in Gemini, Venus had that retrograde cycle in Leo, the square to Taurus, so the foundation of your self-worth, the foundation of the value you have held in relation to these experiences, and how you compromised the authenticity of your truth for the experience. How the felt presence of experience is a heavy thing to hold sometimes. And we're learning what the value of that is in life. So how have our compromises benefited us, but also how have they negated us? How have they caused us to deny ourselves and deny others? Gemini is in the natural second house energetic for Taurus. And so it is the cultivation of your power through your awareness, through your skills, through your abilities. How dependent are you upon others, and how is your sovereignty an anchor point for other people, which serves in this interdependency, this oscillation between unity and diversity, the individuation process where we are alienated from others in this world because of our own pain, and it's a feeling deep within we're trying to bring to expression, and that's the fuel, the power of the creativity. It's like the seeds were sown in our psyche. If you look at Aries, and that process was through experiences which caused feelings of lack, but also feelings of abundance. How do we work through what those experiences have been for us in an updated, here-now type of way? How do we take stock of our own value through knowing that we are realizing all the time? We're changing all the time, there's no stopping it. The static isness of who we are, the power of the gravity of a sense of self in relation to what we have cultivated and developed. How can we see that as a progression, a process, and not the final outcome? How can we let go of our strengths so that we can build new ones? I'm a Taurus sun. My throat's getting all jacked up here. So how do you release, how do you speak into existence what could be? How do you express into existence what could be? You know, with Gemini in the second house to Taurus, that is in the throat, that's speaking, that's communicating. We're trying to find out what our authenticity is in this world in relation to consensus reality narrations, the feudalism of spirit, breaking into memes and algorithms and things in society which program us, because these are changing times, and change has proven to not be easy for a lot of us. A lot of things come shockingly, unexpectedly, and those energies resonate within us. We're shaking them through by living our lives, and sometimes we bloom and sometimes we wither. So you got to nourish yourself, you have to water yourself, you have to feed into positivity through transformation. And you can do that through will, but most importantly through realizing consciousness, becoming aware of yourself and of others. Realizing we're all going through our own cycles, and there are seasons and things happening in the world which pull and push us and help to shape us. And it's cultivating us as we cultivate ourselves, and we can share that cultivation with others by living the experience, living our truest expression. So what brings pleasure? What brings abundance? What brings value for yourself, and how can you share that with others? That's a very powerful and good way to anchor your intention into reality. And let the judgments and the balance of what is become the process of you following your individuality in a way which benefits others. Now Pluto is trining Jupiter here from Aquarius, so what could be through what wasn't, self-denials reevaluated and repurposed as the cost of admission, so that you could cultivate something beautiful and move on from that and grow what that was. The tree doesn't stop growing until it does. And no one really knows when that time happens. So if you can live in the moment and live to your full expression, no matter when the tree of the self stops growing, you've reached as far as you could. And there's no questions about your efforts, shoulda, coulda, woulda, any of that. So find a flow in life which benefits you and compensates you for your own denials. Allow your ignorance to become your friend so that you can learn. Allow the statics to be steps in your progression. Allow the transformation of the value of the self in your beliefs. Let your beliefs rise through that process, uncontrolled. Now, Black Moon Lilith conjunct South Node, the Anima and the Animus, the repressions, learning how to wield the power in the right places, people, things, dynamics from which to put that energy. Find alignment with that which benefits you and that you can share with those you care about, and you will always find the right path in life. Alright, so that's Gemini new moon for the sign of Taurus. Let's go on to Virgo here.
Gary? By the way, why are we wearing bras on our heads?
Ceremonial.
Alright, so Virgo, ruled by Mercury, planetary ruler, and the new moon is in Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, the planetary ruler of that sign. So it's a square, you know. Whether you're sun, moon, or rising, you can think of the different aspects as individuals. You can break it down into those types of understanding, so you can build dynamic relations between yourself and your psyche, and the reflections, how that expresses and channels and grounds into life. It informs us. That's the square, and that's where a lot of tension comes from. It's the data of the analysis. Causes the paralysis, which is actually the process of digesting things, bringing heaven to earth in a way which benefits us and others in the most optimal expression. And we find that that will always be the most natural, but we're not always aware of what's most natural because we're stuck in relation to consensus narrations. And we're trying to make sense of the vision, the dream, the void, the ineffable of Pisces. So Saturn is in your opposition house. Open enemies and lovers and business partners and relations, essentially. It's just the relation to life, though, and you find that it's anchored through you. No matter what, you're the constant in all dynamics. And we know that there is no such thing as what we think of as entropy is a process of death and rebirth. But not everything in reality is a reflection of us. The psyche is immortal, and we're sharing in it. So your 10th house here, you see Venus conjunct the new moon in Gemini, and we had the Venus retrograde in your 12th house of Leo. The value of the expression of the individual, you know, how can you show that in what you do, in your service, in your process of bringing heaven to earth? When this world requires something, needs something from you, or is it really you, or is it something you feel a need, requirement deep within yourself because you're growing, you're trying to find the language in this world, and you are through your processes. So don't be hung up on the judgments. Absolutions have to die in order for us to grow. The truth is a process. There will be many truths in your life. Sometimes they will change. Sometimes they'll die. Sometimes they'll come back, be reborn. And that's a reflection of you. So Hermes Trismegistus, the analysis of the data, the dark and the light, the depths of the emotions which are stirring the mind and bringing this tension into form. You can heal, realize, open your eyes to your own compromise. What did you negate of yourself? What did you deny of yourself? How do we do that for others when we shouldn't have? And how have they done it for us when they shouldn't have? You know, the victim, tyrant, martyr, savior dynamic is within all of society, but very heavily within the archetype of the Vestal one, Virgo. So look at Vesta here in Cancer, 11th house, the dream, the vision. The friendships that we create in this world are a reflection of us. They're not good or bad. They're part of our growing awareness, and we make magic through what that is. So follow the flow of your passion. How can you bring that into your life's direction? How can you heal the masculine of your own expression? Not refrain your power, but know that you don't need to refrain it because you're aware of yourself, and it will never go astray so long as you're honoring purity of balance within yourself, breaking free of the constraints of our programming and our experiences and the expectations of system, hierarchy, of the reason we protect life, the reason we grow in life, the reason we cultivate belief systems, and we incorporate ideas for optimal resolution for everyone. How can you show the greatest gift by breaking free of that and actually falling into the unknown through the pioneering spirit of yourself? Look at Aries here. North Node is there. Chiron's there. Mars is there. Mars is about to go into Taurus. It's going to be trining Virgo. Right now it's transforming you though. So realize you are building your Martian energy. Your passion is, the purity of the passion is burning shadow within so that it can light yourself up and you can carry that forward into what you do, the process of your life. Realize your convictions are beautiful stories. The language from which that conviction has to live in this world changes as you become more aware of your own repressions and how we systemize those things, and we call it this cause or that cause when really it's way deeper than that. We all share it equally, and we need to figure out how to bring that dark to the light of the self so that we can light up the world with our potential and bring heaven to earth through our lives, if for no other. Because when you're in service to the self, then you can be in true service to others, and it's not a game of relational dynamic, epigenetics and the legacy of Cain or Abel. So disillusionment, we can reflect and take in information, but how do you apply it? So find the language of yourself and try and apply that in the most authentic way you can, a natural way. And sometimes that's through challenges, sometimes it's just through being open. Uranus is in Taurus here. It's the house of God, the 9th house. The change, the Promethean spirit is coming into the physical form, and it's showing in many ways in the world, many dark, many light ways, so many narrations, but it's the story of the self you bring forward. How do you change? How can you be so old you're new? How can you marry the beauty and the sacredness of life with your actions? How can you be in service to the creative, the chaos of the creative, not the conformity of control? Many of us can't handle that power. That fire will burn the world down. We burn ourselves down. We got to give it to others, and so we feel. But if you have the courage to stand in your conviction of the student mind of learning, then you'll do fine. Alright, so that was a new moon in Gemini breakdown for the sign of Virgo. Now let's go over to Capricorn.
You really ate the fruit?
One bite. What's the big deal?
You don't eat the fruit. It's been the #1 rule since the beginning of time. Since the great turtle climbed out of the sea with the earth on its back.
I know it's a rule, but I'm a little fuzzy on the exact details.
Forbidden. Forbidden fruit. You did the one thing you're not supposed to do. Forbidden.
But the word forbidden kind of implies there's a little wiggle room.
There's no wiggle room with forbidden. You're cursed, man. If you stay here, we'll all be cursed.
My 3 million brothers and sisters. In devotion to the relational roots, the source of the river of existence. Bringing the spirit of new creation into existence here through service to the self and what it is we're doing, the work of our life. Alright, let me see. I gotta help. Serendipitous irony. I get to Capricorn and then I get to work. It's my third house. The structure of patterns in mind. Alright, so let's get back to the 6th house here. We got the new moon in Gemini, the working transformation of Capricorn. Gemini is frequent relational travels, family members, communication, your local environment, your community, your peers, your schooling, the initial programming, the analysis of the data as you know it, as it was shown, as it was given. Now in the 6th house, the ancients would say the house of bad man. And what that is, it's the polarity of our unconscious, how we show up in reality, what we do, how we find fit for our form, put our attention into form. It's about the friction of relation and what we can create and destroy through that. So with Venus conjunct this new moon in your 6th house, which is also your service and how you work in life, it's our routines. How can you optimize your routines through no longer compromising yourself, your health, your body? It's also your physical health. How can you optimize your routines to make the most of this being that you are becoming in life? How do you put that tension to the optimal form so it benefits you? And ultimately, if it benefits you in a way where you're not taken from anyone else, it benefits them. In the very least, by showing them what they're capable of. And if you think about it, the expression of the self and the purity of what you do in this world is the transformation of Capricorn. That's resolving our compromises for truth we can all hold because it's felt in the spirit. That's the real energy of Cap. So by anchoring into a service of the self, no longer compromising because you were expected to or because you were obliged to have responsibility there, how can you transform that into something where you're still holding the obligation or the responsibility, but in a way which is more ideal to anchor your dream into being? How do you be of service to yourself so that you can bring that forward into this world? Because the world needs it. The world wants us to replicate, to operate in the resonance of narrations. It's a feudalism of spirit happening right now. This is why things are changing. Many people are feeling Piscean, and the Aquarian dream is shaking them up through Uranus, the changing of the values. And you're going to see major shifts in the economies of the world and those systems. Well, it doesn't have to be all bad, you know. If everyone is, or more people are standing in the authenticity of themselves and showing up in reality, not trying to completely destroy it, but understanding what's beneficial for all and what's only beneficial for a few. If you can stand in your conviction, knowing the golden rule, the value of what that can be in this world, then whatever comes in reality, we steer towards optimal expression for everyone, for life itself, for natural progression. Now look at Pluto trining Jupiter here. Pluto is in your house of values, and it is also retrograde, so it's going over old ground, things that we have imagined, we've seen. Now we're going to have to reimagine them from a new, updated sense of self, because you see that trine in the Gemini, it's informing us through our unconscious being made conscious. So traditions, values, things being attacked, changing, the world changing. You may like it, you may not like it. Right now, Mercury is being in a new phase conjunction with Jupiter, trining this Pluto. Mercury is becoming aware of its own denials through the lack of the information that was given us. The lack of the value. We didn't really understand why we did some things or why we supported some ideals. But it was in the entrainment of relation, epigenetic. It was part of our process of learning through ignorance, and we have to honor what that is. And you honor it by making the most of it. And by making the most of it, it's what's the most of it for me and others? How can I show a good way to be, express, manifest, create, shape this world, this reality, the potential, into something others can get behind and benefit as well from. And you could fall into Mother Earth, nature itself. The expression is a great anchor point, the foundation of all existence, at least for these mortal coils. So things are going to continue to change, and we will become aware. Pluto will go back into Capricorn, so embodying the value of our beliefs and the change and how we actually are in control of a lot of what that is. The narrations will hit us and will be tested. So you got to bring value into real life. You have to create your life as an art, and that should help to shape your local environments, the things you care about, your personal expression of reality. Alright, so the North Node is in Aries here, squaring Capricorn. The wound is there, Mars is there currently, will be on this new moon. So the tension is there. It is, to be alive is to feel, How do you channel that energy? You can use it or it will use you. You pick your work or your work picks you. So if you're going to pick, find the most, something that honors you and your passion. If you honor yourself, nature will honor you. The reality will honor you. The cosmos will sing so you can become a universe and bring that into this unity of diversity that we call Aquarius. That's how you leap from the mountaintop. That's how the goat grows wings and becomes an angel, Or the angel finds the gravity of the self to bring spirit to form and existence, knowing that the beast and the angel exist within us. And it is only the oscillation of our awareness, and that is relational to our relations. So what in society do you support? What don't you? How can you change it? Should you change it? What is the reason? And if there is no reason outside of creating heaven on earth for you and those you love, well, let that be the guide, and everything else will come accordingly. Alright, so that was a Gemini new moon breakdown for the sign of Capricorn. Thanks for watching, listening, and being.